Lock every door. That's what they said on the emergency broadcast, right before the signal cut. Lock every door. Stay inside. Do not trust anyone, not even the people you live with. I know it sounds paranoid, but tonight, paranoia is all I have left. My name is Aaron. I'm 28. I work remote customer support, and I live in a cookie-cutter suburb outside of Cleveland, Ohio, where people wave to their neighbors and judge you if your grass is too long. Until this week, my life was about deadlines, group chats, fantasy football, and making sure I didn't burn my scrambled eggs. My roommate Tyler is the kind of guy who laughs at conspiracy videos but has a bug-out bag under his bed just in case. We're not heroes. We're not special. We're just here. Martial law started on a Monday, without warning. Nobody told us why. There were Humvees at the intersection, soldiers in black gear pointing guns but telling people to stay calm and stay inside for your safety. We all wanted to believe it was some drill, something for the news, not for us. But I kept thinking about what "for your safety" means when the people with guns look more scared than you do. Helicopters chopped up the sky. The news played the same old footage, repeating, "Remain in your homes. Emergency orders in effect." I remember Tyler pacing the kitchen, tapping his phone. "This is nuts, man. I just want a pizza." By Tuesday, the phone started dying. All at once. No texts, no calls, not even spam. The Wi-Fi flickered, then shut off for good. My mom's last message was, "Don't open the door for anyone." That was it. Then, silence. It was like the world decided to erase itself, one notification at a time. We started hearing about people vanishing. First, just rumors, but then you noticed a mailbox stuffed with days-old envelopes, or a car in the same spot every morning gathering pollen and rain. Drones buzzed low, shining lights into yards, like they were searching for something. Or someone. Nobody said the word zombie. Not yet. They said containment. On Wednesday, I looked out the window and saw a man walking down the center of our street, barefoot and in pajamas, moving like he was late for work. He stopped, looked around, and then started screaming. It was the sound of someone trying to say something important, maybe a warning, maybe a confession. Before I could even open the door, a black van screeched up. Men in hazard suits jumped out, tackled him, and dragged him away. He left bloody streaks on the pavement. No one else on my street moved. I realized in that moment, help isn't coming. Help is gone. We're on our own. By Thursday, nobody left their houses, not even the dog walkers. We taped garbage bags over the windows, smashed the doorbell cameras, and stopped talking to neighbors. Tyler taught me how to hold a kitchen knife properly like you see in movies. I thought it was dumb, but it made my hands stop shaking. We started living in the basement, sleeping in shifts. At night you could hear something moving outside, not footsteps, more like shuffling. Sometimes it would stop at our door. Once I thought I heard whispering. We still didn't know what we were hiding from, only that it was worse than anything we could imagine, and the rules kept changing. The only thing that mattered: lock every door, double check, triple check. If the handle rattled, don't make a sound, don't even breathe. That's what survival meant now, and nobody ever told us why. You know the difference between ordinary fear and what comes after? Ordinary fear is something you can swallow. The real stuff lives in your bones. The real stuff starts at midnight, when everything outside stops pretending to be normal. It's always at night. You never see anyone come to your door during the day. Not anymore. At first, we joked that we'd just barricade ourselves in until the army got bored and left. That joke stopped being funny when the scratching started. Not pounding, not banging, scratching. Sometimes at the front door, sometimes the back. Once, right on the glass of our basement window, just inches from where I slept. I still flinch when I hear my own name. The first real attack happened on a Friday. Not zombies like the movies, not moaning, slow-walking corpses. These were people, Or they used to be. We watched from behind the curtain as 3 figures staggered up the street. Their clothes were wrong for the weather. Shorts, a prom dress, someone's work suit. One of them stopped and turned, head jerking like a puppet. I recognized her, sort of. Mrs. Landry, 3 houses down. She used to give out king-size candy bars on Halloween. Now she just stared, mouth open like she was trying to remember how to talk. Her arms were covered in scratches. Then she walked right up to our door. No knocking, just pressed her face to the glass, eyes moving around but never focusing. Behind her, the other 2 started pounding on a neighbor's window. It was fast, furious. I heard screaming from inside that house, but it cut off suddenly. Mrs. Landry made a sound, high-pitched, desperate, and then stumbled away, vanishing into the door. "We can't help them," he said. "It's not safe." After that, we reinforced every entrance. Couches and dressers in front of the doors, nails through plywood, every window covered. We slept with knives, hammers, anything heavy. I started carrying a baseball bat. It felt stupid, but it gave me something to do with my hands. There was no more sleep, only dozing, listening, waiting. Every night the sounds got closer. Sometimes it was people we knew, sometimes strangers, a man screaming for help, then silence. The sound of glass shattering down the block. The emergency broadcasts kept repeating, "Lock every home door." Sometimes I'd hear my mom's voice in my head. Sometimes I thought I heard it outside. One night it was Tyler who saw something first. He shook me awake, eyes wild. "Look!" I peered out and saw 3 figures shuffling down the sidewalk, then pausing in front of every door, trying the handles. If it was locked, they moved on. If not, God help you. At midnight, a group of them managed to break into a house down the street. The screaming lasted for 10 minutes. Then, nothing. We ran out of food the following week. That's when we realized we had to move. The soldiers were gone, the drones were gone, and the monsters outside were getting bolder. Our only choice was to risk the tunnels, old storm drains and sewer lines that ran under the neighborhood. They smelled like rot and fear, but it was better than facing what was on the streets. Tyler pried open the grate, and we climbed down with nothing but flashlights and backpacks, hearts pounding. The tunnels were worse than I imagined. They weren't empty. Sometimes we'd see a face peering at us from the dark, eyes shining with something hungry but not quite human. Other times we heard voices echoing behind us. I kept thinking about everyone who used to live here, where they went, what happened to them, if they were still themselves at all, if we'd ever be ourselves again. Then the hallucinations started. At first I thought it was just the dark, the hunger, but I started seeing my sister Emily, dead for 2 years now, standing at the end of the tunnel, beckoning. Tyler swore he saw his old dog. We stopped trusting our own senses, started whispering to each other, "Don't look at them, don't talk, just keep moving." And then the monsters found us down there too. But it wasn't the kind of monster you fight with a bat. They talked to us. They whispered our names, told us things we never told anyone else, promised us we could go home if we just listened. Tyler started to forget things, my name, his own birthday. But he smiled all the time like it didn't matter. I knew then that the infection wasn't just in their bodies. It was in their thoughts, in their words, in the way they remembered things, or didn't. And I wondered, for the first time, if I was already infected too. You know you're past saving when hope feels dangerous. That's how it was by the time we clawed our way out of the tunnels, skin scraped, breathing poison air, not even sure if it was real. The sky above the city was orange with fire and smoke. Nothing left to protect, nobody left to listen. There were only survivors, and the ones who survived long enough to want revenge. There wasn't one big moment when people snapped. It was little things. Seeing your friend walk by with eyes that didn't blink. hearing the same phrase on every map, realizing you hadn't heard laughter in days. Survivors started talking in secret, about storming the government checkpoints, about burning the camps, about hijacking whatever was left of the city's power. They risked it because the monsters never stopped. If you didn't fight back, you just disappeared. Or changed. I saw it happen at the checkpoint near Market Street. A group with homemade weapons, firebombs, baseball bats, hunting knives, just burst out from behind a truck, yelling for freedom. They caught the soldiers off guard, managed to get a few people out of the holding pens. Some didn't make it. One of them was a girl named Mia. She couldn't have been older than 15. She tripped, and the monsters got to her first. You don't forget a scream like that. Not ever. I told myself she was just a number, just a body lost in the chaos, but I kept seeing her face every time I closed my eyes. We made it to the old radio station that night, a handful of us bleeding and dirty. Tyler had a busted shoulder. I had a broken tooth. There were people from all over. An old guy who'd been a firefighter, 2 high schoolers, a nurse who'd seen too much. We patched each other up and we planned. Somebody knew how to hotwire the broadcast, get the word out. Not about the zombies, about what the government did, how they let it happen, how they left us to die. That was the real infection, the lies. I volunteered to speak. Tyler set it up. My hands shook so bad I almost dropped the mic. If you hear this, I said, don't trust the rules. Lock your doors, but don't lock out the truth. The monsters aren't just outside. They're in your memories. They're in the silence. You have to fight. I don't know how many people heard me. I know the signal made it out. I know the gunfire started before I even finished. We lost 3 people that night, including Tyler. He pushed me out the back when the soldiers found us. The last thing he said was, "Don't let them tell you who you are." I never got to say goodbye. I never will. But I owe him that much, to keep fighting, to keep talking even if nobody listens. By dawn, the city was burning for real. The checkpoints were gone. The camps were empty. The survivors were different now. Scarred, furious, awake. We found each other on rooftops and back alleys. Strangers before, but not anymore. I'm not the same Aaron who watched the world fall apart from behind a locked door. I'm not sure what I am, but I know I'm not afraid to lead. Not anymore. The monsters still come at night, but now they find doors locked, windows dark, people ready. The city's never going back to normal. Maybe nowhere will. But I made a promise to myself as I watched the sun rise over the blackout skyline. If the world has to burn to wake up, then I'll light the first match, and I'll never, ever forget to lock the door.